Welcome to r/entitled people, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them, and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story: the customer throws a tantrum over the pepper, and the owner throws him out. The second story: Karen demanded that I do my job because it was so simple that even a monkey could do it. Well, that's what I did. The third story: the cook steals my tip, and then when I corner him, he gives them back. The manager fired him. The first story is Pass the Pepper, GD. Entitled customer steals from my table. I like fresh ground pepper. My wife likes fresh ground pepper. My friends like fresh ground pepper. I particularly like it on my weekly Sunday breakfast, which as it happens takes place in the same local neighborhood diner as it has for 10 years. Alas, this diner deploys simple pepper shakers, inadequate for our tastes, so we bring along our own purse-sized mill. This diner, I should further point out, is generally patronized by regulars each Sunday morning, and we are on smile and wave basis with most of them. As usual, this past Sunday we were enjoying our breakfast, talking, laughing over stupid jokes, the usual. At the table to our immediate right was a couple of about mid-50s, same as us, but unfamiliar to us. Not regulars, and the man had a loud voice. So loud, in fact, that he made our conversation a little difficult. During a lull in our conversation, I heard him say, "Pass the pepper." My friends then mentioned that they were going for a bike ride later and wondered if we'd like to join them. I thought it over, and just as I was about to answer, I heard a scraping of a chair from the next table. Suddenly, the man with the loud voice was looming over our table. "I said pass the pepper, GD, he barked, and reached across the table to grab my pepper mill. A cacophony of protest, surprise, queries, and exclamations followed. I managed to block his hand and looked up at him. "Hey, what are you doing?" I demanded. My friend, a very mild-mannered and gentle man, jumped to his feet and squared up. "Pass the pepper," the man snarled again. "What's so hard to understand?" I quickly slid the pepper mill off the table and into my pocket. Then I too stood up. "The pepper?" I asked. "You mean my pepper? That isn't the communal pepper." "What the F is wrong with you?" he shouted. "I want the GD pepper." At this point, his wife, girlfriend, companion, quicker on the uptake, realized his mistake and tried to get his attention. Roy, sit down. It's not, Roy, listen," she tried, but Roy, doubling down and in high dudgeon, was not to be denied. "Get that effing pepper out of your pocket and hand it over now." Eyes were uncomfortably on us. Other tables were watching this play out in surprise and shock. At this point, a server approached with her arms full of someone else's breakfast. "Hey guys, not sure what's going on, but I have hot food here. Coming through." As she passed, Roy shouted again, and this time threw his hands in the air in a what-the-hell gesture. It all happened in a blur, and before the server could deke, she was covered in sunny-side-up eggs, home fries, and sausage. "Roy!" the woman screamed. "What the hell? Hey, watch out! Oh no!" And a dozen other exclamations from the onlookers erupted all at once. "F!" Roy shouted. "See what you effing did?" His wife had scrambled to her feet to assist the server, who dropped the second plate as well. My wife also got up to help, and the owner, Donna, a sweet-faced 65-year-old, suddenly emerged from the kitchen. "What is going on?" she said, alarmed. Everyone started talking at once, and Roy, Alpha Roy, shouted over everyone. "This a-hole," indicating me, "wouldn't pass me the pepper," he roared. Donna gaped uncomprehendingly at him for a moment. She looked at the mess on the floor, the now red-faced and furious Roy, the other customers, and then at me. What? There's pepper on your table." "Roy," his wife screamed again, "apologize now and sit down." "It's my pepper mill," I said again, "not the restaurant's." "Effing idiot," shouted Roy. "Why didn't you say something, a-hole?" I laughed out loud and looked with an amazed surprise at my friends. He stared straight at Roy and said in a quiet but firm voice, "Listen to your wife and sit down." Donna looked around at the mess in confusion. At this point, approximately 45 seconds had elapsed since Roy first lurched to his feet to steal my pepper. "I think I'm gonna have to ask you to leave," she said to Roy. "I can't have this in my restaurant." Roy's wife, nearly in tears, began apologizing rapidly and repeatedly. Roy started protesting and demanding that he get to eat his breakfast. Donna, sweet-faced but tough, told him he could leave voluntarily or she would have the police assist him. "Roy, now," his wife said. She left a wad of money on the table and grabbed his arm, pulling him to the door. "I am so sorry," she said to Donna and the server. "I guess he loves his pepper too." "Effing idiot," shouted Roy. "Why didn't you say something, a-hole?" Hey, OP did say something, Roy. He said this. The pepper I asked? You mean my pepper? That isn't a communal pepper. But unfortunately, such people like Roy don't listen. They assume and then they want the world to adjust to their thoughts. Even if you tell them directly what it's about, they'll fly in one ear and out the other because it doesn't match up with what they think should be happening. Also, if someone said pass the pepper at another table, I certainly wouldn't think they were addressing me. So maybe they should temper their aggression about being ignored. Very cool that the owner stepped in and kicked the hell out of him. Also, I think his wife at home will show him how to behave in a restaurant and why he shouldn't yell at innocent people. Maybe that way he'll realize he was wrong. The second story is, let them eat cake. Long ago, way back in the before time, I worked for one of those bulk warehouse club stores. My trade was simple. I was a wrangler of the Silver Buffalo and dutifully retrieved the old ghetto strollers I did. The job in and of itself wasn't the worst I've ever had. I got plenty of exercise, got to be outside, and generally didn't have to interact with the members. Calling them customers was taboo for the most part. For the most part. The thing about this job is that the company I worked for had a reputation for being cheap. Thusly, more often than not, I was on my own out in the parking lot. Big whoop, you might say. You gathered carts? You should see how hard my job is. Yeah, well, shut up. This is my story, butt munch. I digress. The reason that being alone sucked is that this store didn't have just one kind of cart. Hell, they didn't even just have two kinds of cart. You had your classic garden variety cart, the kiddie cart with the plastic facade to make it resemble a car, the electric scooters, which weren't supposed to leave the store, but did so with alarming frequency, and finally the bulky, hard-to-control flatbeds. On top of that, whenever someone needed help loading their haul into their minivans, I was the guy they called. You know, because the greeters, cashiers, and managers were all busy. As you might expect, one man cannot be in multiple places at once, and as a result, on some of our busier days, it became incredibly difficult to keep enough carts in the vestibule. Our story begins on one of these days. So there I was, chugging along like a good worker drone, struggling to keep up with the sheer volume of people coming in to buy cheap bulk goods. Sure enough, I get a call on the radio. Manager, Ksh, Top Gorilla 17, we need you to help some members load their purchases. Ksh, me, I'd love to, but I'm barely able to keep up out here as is. Manager, Ksh, just do it, Top Gorilla 17. You can afford to stop gathering carts for 2 minutes. Ksh. Ron Howard. He couldn't. I didn't want to push my luck, so I complied. After spending 20 minutes loading people's purchases, because when one person needs it, suddenly they all need it, I came back to find my vestibule a near ghost town, save for a single line of carts that was half gone. And the Karen. I won't waste time describing this specimen. She was the prototype. You know what she looked like. There she stood, menacing, tapping her foot with such speed that could make any metal drummer green with envy. You could collect the contempt in her gaze in a jar. Karen. Where are the big flat ones? I blanked for a moment. Me. I'm sorry? Karen. Ugh, Mexicans. For the record, I'm very much white. Karen. Where are the flat ones? Me. Oh, you mean the flatbeds? I'm sorry, I was just helping some other members to load their merchandise and haven't had a chance to... Karen. Oh my god, I don't care about your excuses. You have one job and a trained monkey could do it. I just want this lady out of my face so I don't fight it. Me. Sorry, ma'am. I'll grab one from the parking lot for you. Karen. You'd better. So I go back out to the lot and find a whole line of flatbeds sticking out of a corral, blocking several parking spaces. I push them all into the vestibule where she waits, huffing about how I'm wasting her valuable time. I separate one from the rest and bring it to her. Me. I'm terribly sorry about the wait, ma'am. She leers at me with utter malice. Karen. Unbelievable. And with that, she dismisses herself into the store, where she will be someone else's problem. I shake my head and return to doing what I'm paid to do. About 15 minutes later, I'm returning a line of carts, when I see her pushing her flatbed to her Miata and jawing about stupid people, most certainly referring to me on her cell phone. You know what she had bought? What she had insisted on having a flatbed for? A cake. This wasn't even like a big cake. It was one of those little circular numbers. Anyways, I witness as she continues to yammer on about how I nearly ruined, I tell you, her precious baby's birthday party, when the most glorious thing happened. Still clutching her phone with those high-lie scoop claws of hers, she attempts to pick up the cake with one hand. The plastic topper pops off, and she spills the cake all over her undoubtedly expensive designer outfit. Seething with white-hot rage, she locks eyes with me. Karen, you, get me another cake now. Me, terribly sorry, ma'am. I've got one job, and these carts won't gather themselves. I walked away, SH eating grin plastered on my face, as her shrieks faded into the distance behind me. I've had my share of nasty customer interactions before, but this one really took the cake. Yeah! Man, this is incredible. The way you write is pretty cool to read. Have you thought about writing a book? That'd be awesome. And that moment, Karen, you, get me another cake now. Me, terribly sorry, ma'am. I've got one job, and these carts won't gather themselves. I walked away, eating grin plastered on my face, as her shrieks faded into the distance behind me. Just boom. All that's missing in the music is the background of Like the Boss, you know. I loved your detailed descriptions of these fascinating creatures we call entitled parents. Scientists say that we still have a lot to learn about this special creature. It is still incomprehensible why we have wild animals roaming the streets. Their influence affects not only their children, but also the people around them. And the last story is, so my cook stole my tip. I work graveyard, just me and a cook. Tonight was super slow. I have this group of ENTs that come in regularly, and usually pay separate. I had collected the charge slips from most, but one still hadn't signed. I noticed some cash in front of her. I went to the bathroom, and by the time I got out they had left. Their table had been cleared and there was no cash or charge slip anywhere. I asked my cook, who presumably bussed my table for some reason, if he'd seen either. He said no. We spent a few minutes digging through trash and eventually found the charge slip, which had no tip. I asked him again if there was cash on the table and he denied it again. Now these ladies come to my place a lot and always tip me great. I work with them and their calls and they appreciate me for it. They all tip me great and there's no way one forgot. And besides, I saw the cash. So maybe I overstepped a bit, but I found her on Facebook and messaged her. I wasn't about to flat out accuse the cook of stealing without proof, and I felt comfortable enough asking. She said she left $4. So I asked my cook again. He said there was nothing again. So I asked him another time, and told him he better be sure of his answer this time because I was talking to the customer, and she's saying she left a tip. His demeanor changed and he nervously giggled, and poured full singles out of his pocket, and said he was just messing with me. Hell no. He kept that SH up too, like it was just a prank, and he always was going to give it back. He tried to make me feel like I was the crazy one, throwing an SH fit over $4, and that I couldn't take a joke. No doubt in my mind he would have kept it. I should have let him keep it and then go to my manager with proof, but he flat out admitted he took it. Do not touch my money. My money's not a joke. That's flat out theft if he gave it back or not. I'm 1000% sure he wouldn't have fessed up if he wasn't cornered. Also, F off. You're a cook. There's zero reason for you to be bussing my tables. I'm so mad. I'm supposed to work with him again tonight, but I can't even look at him. He kept trying to apologize for his prank, but he just got my hand in his face because I'm done. Stealing from me is a one-strike thing. There's no coming back from that. I texted my manager but haven't heard back yet. It's his day off. Texted the assistant manager and he's super protective, so hopefully he doesn't just get a slap on the wrist, since he did give it back. I'm so trusting in SH. Knowing that this cook probably pulled this SH on other servers in the guise of helping clear tables is making me sick. The stars aligned for me or something, so I knew he did it. This was my first ever shift with him and hopefully his last. Over $4. Edit. He got fired. My manager was pretty much like, why would you ever think I would let him stay here after that? So my fears were just my anxiety being a D. D, you got a great manager. Even though it's only $4, it's your money. And you work like hell for it every day at this job, and try to be nice and attentive to every customer. And people like this cook make a joke out of it. So I understand you, OP, and you did the right thing. Who knows, next time this cook could have stolen more, and it would have gone on and on. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.